right, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. You're going to need 2 blocks, and if you don't have yoga blocks, you could use either a pillow or a beach towel that you can firmly roll into a cylindrical shape. We're going to begin in a heart-opening, restorative Supta Baddha Konasana, the pine-bound angle pose. So let's start. If you have a blanket or cylindrical shaped pillow, go ahead and cross your mat towards the rear end. And we're all going to start with the knees bent wide and soles of the feet together. Now, if your thighs are lifting uncomfortably high away from the floor, you could place other props that you find around your home underneath your outer thighs, equal on both sides to support your hips. Now, the cylindrical shaped pillow will be right there so that you can lie back and land just the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. Just beneath that is where you'll want the cylinder pillow to be. Otherwise, you can place one block at the farthest end of your mat on its tallest height, and then the second block, second level, medium height, crossing your mat, where you could space the blocks apart so that the lower block is where that cylindrical pillow would be, right under the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. And then the back of your head is resting on the second block. So you want to feel that the prop under your rib cage allows your chest to more easily broaden and lift, and your shoulder heads to roll back towards the ground and release away from your neck. So extending your arms out slightly away from your sides, turn your palms to face up, and let the backs of your hands rest on the floor. You might even close your eyes here as we'll start the first few minutes in this posture. As I was preparing for tomorrow's workshop on empathy and compassion, I dug up a few wonderful quotes by Pema Chodron, one of my favorite mindfulness teachers, about compassion. And she says, compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded. It's a relationship between humans. Only when we know our own darkness well can we be present with the darkness of others. Compassion becomes real when we recognize our shared humanity. And this excerpt is from her book, Start Where You Are, A Guide to Compassionate Living. Life is glorious, but life is also wretched. It is both. Appreciating the gloriousness inspires us, encourages us, cheers us up, gives us a bigger perspective, energizes us. We feel connected. But if that's all that's happening, we get arrogant and start to look down on others, and there is a sense of making ourselves a big deal and being really serious about it, wanting it to be like that forever. The gloriousness becomes tinged by craving and addiction. On the other hand, wretchedness, life's painful aspect, softens us up considerably. Knowing pain is a very important ingredient of being there for another person. When you are feeling a lot of grief, you can look right into somebody's eyes because you feel you haven't got anything to lose. You're just there. The wretchedness humbles us and softens us. But if we were only wretched, we would all just go down the tubes. We'd be so depressed, discouraged, and hopeless that we wouldn't have enough energy to eat an apple. Gloriousness and wretchedness need each other. One inspires us, the other softens us. They go together. So how do we make room for that range? Begin here in our bodies, paying attention to what we've been carrying or accumulating throughout our day energetically. There are thoughts, emotions, actions, non-actions. Hopefully be here in truth with ourselves, listening in. So starting with self-empathy. Begin to deepen the breath as you lie here. Perhaps take a few long exhalations through your mouth. Let your breath travel across your collarbones, expanding the area of your heart center. Each breath in, perhaps taking just a little more space throughout all of your torso. This time, let's take a nice audible sigh, as loud as you'd like it to be. Taking a deep breath in, fill it up, and hold it at the top just for a few seconds, where you might even see if you could sip in a little more air. And be with that feeling of fullness just for a moment. And then any sound, release your breath completely. Pause at the bottom and sit with that feeling of emptiness. Let the belly sink towards your spine. And now let's ease into Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breathing technique, where we close the lips. If that's feasible for you, just breathing through your nose and sustaining your breath equally in and out. All the while creating a soft, audible whispering sound by gently narrowing or constricting the back of your throat. This is a warming breath for the body, calming for the nervous system, and helping to focus the mind. So as you continue to listen to your own breathing, bring your hands to your outer thighs and slowly lift your knees up, setting your 2 feet on your mat. Whether you'd like to turn over to one side or rock forward, ease your way up to sitting so that your legs are right in front of you. As you come to sit, extend your left leg forward and I'll mirror you. Either set your right foot on the ground just in front of your right hip as we prepare for a spinal twist. If you feel pretty loose in your spine, you can go a little further. Try stepping your right foot on the ground flat, just outside of your left knee. Or even adding bending your left knee, as long as your 2 sitting bones are equally rooted. Then backstroke your right hand to the ground, just behind your pelvis, and raise your left arm. As you press downward into the earth, feel a lift up through your spine and crown as you take a deep breath. At your waistline, begin a twist to your right, exhaling, lower your left hand. Either holding your shin or hooking your left elbow outside of your right thigh. Let's continue to explore the range of the spinal twist gently, lovingly, compassionate to what's there. What are we carrying in the sensations of our spine or back? Feel your shoulders softening down as you lift through the back of your skull. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. At the end of this exhalation, unwind your spine and straighten both of your legs. And just give them a little shake, or your whole body a little shake and movement. Then set your left foot on the ground, either in front of your hip, or cross it outside of your right knee, or also bend your right knee. Try to go for the same variation as you did on the first side if you can. Backstroke your left hand to the ground, just behind your pelvis. Raise your right arm up. Press downward through your pelvis and inhale, lift upward through your spine. Exhale at your waistline, begin to twist to your left, lowering your right arm, either to hold your top leg or to hook your elbow outside of that thigh. Now feel it. Continue to explore the range that you can. And that you're the bottom of this exhalation. behind your spine. And if you have blocks, let's bring them out to the outsides of the front of your mat. Make your way into downward facing dog. So you'll want to have your knees under your hips, your wrists a couple inches forward of your shoulders, the creases of your wrists parallel to the front edge of your mat, thumbs wide and flat. When you arrive in downward dog, take a few breaths of your own, whether exploring any kind of movement or right away being still. Take a look at your feet in downward dog and see that they're at least hips width apart and parallel. Feel free to bend your knees as much as you need, especially if you're feeling any stiffness in your lower back or hamstrings, so that you can lift your tailbone and stick it up towards the sky as high as you can here. Then as you press down and forward through your hands, lift your shoulders back and rotate the outer sides of your upper arms downward towards the mat. So you're broadening the space across your shoulders. Relaxing your neck, direct your gaze on one spot towards your feet. Keep the height of your hips. And now firm the very top of the fronts of your thighs back. Let your heels become heavier and heavier, whether or not they touch the ground. Let's take a few more deep breaths here. Drawing your belly in firmly towards your back. Inhale, step your right foot forward, inside of your right hand, and then lower your back knee, untuck your back toes. Make sure that your legs are as wide apart as your hips. Root down to the four corners of your right foot, and then sweep your arms forward and up to rise into Anjaneyasana, a kneeling lunge. Let's take a few breaths here. So let your left outer hip slightly come forward, so that both of your frontal hip bones are facing the front edge of your mat. And as you lift your frontal hip bones slightly towards your lowest ribs, anchor your tailbone down and even slightly forward. Lift your back ribs, feel the length of your lower spine by doing that. And then raising your arms, lengthen up from your outer hips to your armpits, your fingertips, rolling your triceps forward. Hook your thumbs like you're creating an eagle shadow puppet, and then roll your shoulder heads back and down, lifting your chest and gaze. Now let's take 3 last breaths. Keep your right foot solidly rooted. With your exhalation, backstroke your hands to the floor and step onto your hands and knees, entering a few rounds of cat-cow pose. Inhaling, glide your spine forward, then coil your chest up into cow. Exhaling, contract your belly, look down, and round your back to cat. A few more cycles of breath on your own. On your next exhalation, rounding, tuck your toes and lift your hips back to downward facing dog. And this time, right away, be still. Feel the energetic movement of reaching down and forward through your finger pads, of lifting your sitting bones high and drawing your weight down the backs of your legs and heels. On your next inhale, step your left foot lightly forward just inside of your left hand. Set your right knee down and tuck the toes. Separate your legs as wide apart as your hips. Firm down through the 4 corners of your left foot. Then sweep your arms forward and up to rise into Anjaneyasana. Now let your right outer hip slightly come forward, adjusting your 2 frontal hip bones to face your front wall. At the same time, lift your frontal hip bones slightly, drawing your tailbone down and slightly tilting it forward. Then lift your back ribs to create length in your lower spine. Raising your arms up, feel length up your side waist. Roll your triceps forward, then hook your opposite thumb on top, if you can remember which is not your default. And then coil your chest up, softening your shoulders down here for 3 more breaths. On your next exhale, backstroke your hands to the floor, entering plank pose to hold. About 5 breaths. So you could have your knees on the ground for added support, but if you're ready, straighten your legs and firm your heels back so your quadriceps, front muscles of your thighs, are engaged. See that your wrists are directly under your shoulders. Broaden your chest forward and look on the ground ahead of your hands. Feel your spine like a straight line, navel drawing inward. With an exhalation, glide forward as far as you can. Bend your elbows back so your arms graze your side ribs. Keep your neck long, chest open, belly firm, and slowly try to lower your chin and belly at the same time. Point your toes back and firm the tops of your feet on your mat. Then slide your forearms forward, coming into Sphinx pose. Broadening your chest, soften your shoulder blades down your back ribs. From here, cross your left forearm in front of your chest. Bend your right knee, backstroke your right arm. Catch hold of the inside, the big toe side of your right ankle or foot, not the pinky toe side. So if it's hard to reach, you could lasso your foot with a strap. And have your knees no wider apart than your hips distance. Ground both of your frontal hip bones and turn your chest completely to face forward, drawing both shoulders down as you bring your right heel slightly towards the outside of your right hip. Breathing in, float your heart space up. Breathing out, soften your jaw and your face. Take 3 more breaths. As you release your right leg straight, scoot your ankles as close together as you can and come back to a regular Sphinx pose. Both forearms on the floor. Take a couple of breaths. If it feels loosening for your neck, give it your head support. Then cross your right forearm in front of your chest. Bend your left knee and backstroke your left arm. Hold the big toe side. Knees no wider apart than hips distance. Round both of your frontal hip bones. Bring your left heel slightly to the outside of your left hip. Broaden your chest to face forward and relax both of your shoulders down. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. Releasing your left leg straight. Prepare for cobra or upward facing dog. Set your wrists alongside your lowest ribs. Hug your elbows close to your sides. Firm down through the tops of your feet so much that your knees are not resting on the floor. Cobra, pelvis stays on the ground as you coil your chest up. Take a few breaths. Upward dog, you push off with your hands and lift your pelvis. Pulling your shoulder heads back to stack above your wrists, while your chest protrudes forward of your wrists. With an exhale, contract your belly and lift your sitting bones up and back again, the downward facing dog. Let's take about 3 breaths. At the bottom of your next exhalation, bent knees, walk or lightly in front of your mat. In a forward fold, have your feet hips distance and parallel. Feel free to bend your knees even now lengthen your spine, alleviate any stiffness. Press your fingertips on your blocks, the ground, or your shins. And with an inhale, lengthen your sternum forward, rising halfway up. Exhale, fold a little forward, keeping your weight towards the balls of your feet. From down through your feet, inhale, sweep your arms out to your sides, rising tall. Watch your palms meet overhead. Then exhale, trace your thumbs down to your heart. Arms by your sides, palms facing forward, mountain pose. Let's start a vinyasa flow. Inhale, sweep your arms high. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, press with your fingertips, lengthen halfway. Either float back to chaturanga or step to plank and lower. Continue on through your vinyasa, your pace of breath. And as we meet in downward facing dog, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, bend the knee, turn open at your right hip. As you inhale, tack your left outer hip back. And exhale, round your spine forward into plank, bending your right knee towards your nose. To softly land your right foot between your hands, warrior two. Spin your left heel down, align your right heel to the arch of your left foot, then cartwheel your arms to rise up, and let's hold on for the breath. So you're wrapping your right outer hip slightly beneath your body so that the center of your right knee, center right toe, are tracing the midline of your mat facing forward. Left, top of your left thigh is firming back towards the right edge of your mat. And with your pelvis upright, feel the full length of your spine centered between your ankles. Relax your shoulders, spread your arms wide, and steady your gaze just past your right hand. Take a breath in. Exhale your hands to plank, lower into chaturanga. Continue on your pace, your vinyasa. Back in downward dog, inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, bend the knee and turn open at your hip. Inhale, tack your right outer hip further back. Then exhale, round forward, contracting your belly, knee to nose, lightly stepping left foot between your hands for warrior two. Spin your right heel down, align left heel to arch of right foot, then cartwheel your arms to rise up. So feel that you're rotating your left outer hip slightly beneath your body so that you stack left knee over ankle and point knee and middle toe straight down the midline of your mat. Top of your right thigh bone firms towards left edge of your mat with your right toes slightly facing forward. Spine tall, pelvis upright, arms wide open, steady gaze just past your left hand. Take another breath in. Then exhale, cartwheel your hands from plank, lower through chaturanga, taking it through your vinyasa. If you need rest from vinyasa, you could either tone it down and take a couple rounds of cat-cow, or skip it all together and go straight to downward dog. As you feel into how your body responds throughout the practice, take care of yourself as you need. From downward facing dog, bend your knees, lift your heels and hips high, gaze past your hands. When you've emptied your breath, hold it out and walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, press with your fingers, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold again. Inhale, rise tall, gaze up. Exhale, hands down in mountain pose. Let's take that same sequence into one continuous flow. Breath-led movement. Inhale, raise your arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Step to plank or lightly jump into chaturanga. Continue on into your vinyasa. Then meeting in downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, bend the knee, turn open at the hip. Inhale, tack your left hip back. Exhale your right knee towards your nose, stepping the foot just between your hands, left heel down, heel to arch. Inhale, cartwheel your arms, rise to warrior two. Then exhale down to plank again. Insert your vinyasa or none. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Mind the quality of your breathing. Side two. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, bend the knee, turn open at your hip. Inhale, tack your right hip back. Exhale, round forward, stepping the left foot between your hands. Align heel to arch. Then inhale, windmill your arms to warrior two. Exhale your hands to the earth. Flow or no flow. Taking child's pose to rest whenever you might need. We'll meet in downward dog in 3 to 5 breaths. As you allow your body to be still in the posture you've chosen to rest in, use the stillness to be able to pay more attention to the subtler layers of your being. Energy, emotions, thoughts. From downward dog, look forward. Bottom of your exhale, lightly land at the top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold in. Let's heel toe the feet together so that they touch. Then bend your knees together so that they touch. And then sink your weight towards your heels. You might even play with grazing the floor with your fingertips and keeping your hips that low as we hold chair about 5 breaths. Now, as you glide your shin bones back, let your weight shift heavier onto your heels. You're able to look down and see your toes. Then gaze forward, broaden your chest, and direct your tailbone down. Hug your front ribs in. Relax your shoulders. Last 2 deep breaths in Utkatasana. Now, as you extend your arms forward, imagine you're gliding your back against a wall. Slowly lower your pelvis to the ground, entering one round of boat pose. Think of lifting your pelvic floor as you reach back each vertebra of your spine to sit up upright. Shoulders relaxed. Now you could catch hold of the backs of your thighs to help you as you lift your feet, bending your knees. You could extend your arms forward, make it more challenging, or you could even straighten your legs if you want more rigor. Steady your breath, steady your gaze, maybe even close your eyes. Imagine that you could breathe into the center of your chest. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, 7. Keep your focus there. Imagine a green color, a green light. Inhale. Exhale, 6. And with that green light is a nurturing feeling of warmth. Inhale. Exhale, 5. As you breathe in, you start to expand that green nurturing light throughout your body. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale, up and down the spine, the light travels. Exhale, 3. From crown to feet, inhale. Exhale, 2. Last breath in, full expansion of that light. And exhale, cross your shins, or you could slide them over to one side. We're gonna plant the hands on the ground and step back to plank. Maybe float back to chaturanga if you like, or walk straight to downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa there. Now meeting in downward facing dog. Breathe in. Breathe out. Reach your right wrist and step your right foot about 5 inches behind it. So your feet are a little closer together than warrior two. Keep your feet hips width apart, sideways. Drop your left heel. And then find your strap here if you might need it for shoulder support. Bring your hands to your hips, from down to your feet. Engage your quadriceps and belly. Leading with your chest, inhale to rise up. So with your 2 hip bones facing forward and your legs straight, hold the strap from your left hand so that it's dangling behind your back. Rotate your left tricep forward and bend the elbow behind your head so your left palm lands between your shoulder blades. Reach your right hand underneath to grab the other end of your strap. And if you don't have a strap, you could be holding your shirt here. Walk your hands as close together as you can. Maybe your fingers clasp. Then as you spread your toes and your weight through the 4 corners of each foot, activate the muscles in your legs. Think of rooting down to rise up. Lift your chest, broaden it, and take a deep breath in, sliding your shoulders down your back. Firming your belly, and then exhale, start to hinge from your hips, just a little bit each breath. Mindful to keep your 2 hips facing forward and actively ground through both feet. Open space at your throat, chin slightly away from your chest. Breaths here in pyramid pose, or Uttita Parshvattanasana. Now, leading with your chest, feet, engage your belly, fronts of your thighs, breathe in to slowly rise. Now bring your hands to your hips as we enter Warrior One. Step your right foot forward another 5 inches so that you can bend your right knee to stack just over the ankle, keeping your back leg straight and the outer heel grounded. Both hip bones facing forward, tailbone descending as you lift your back ribs. And extend your arms and feel the length through your sideways as you roll your triceps forward. Maybe even seal the palms together if you can keep your shoulders relaxed. Let's take a few breaths in Warrior One. Reaching your hands behind you to interlace your fingers. Breathe in and coil your chest up. Feel the broadening of your collarbones. Now consciously seal in the bottom of your front ribs. So abdomen is alive, it's engaged. Now lengthen your spine forward as you continue to clasp your hands. You're leaning diagonally forward, hovering your belly off of your right thigh, drawing your right hip back, your left hip forward. Keep your hips equally facing forward and start to lift your left heel. Now we're gonna enter Warrior Three, and if you'll need more support for balancing, walk your fingertips onto your blocks or the floor, 1 foot in front of your right toes. Otherwise, you can keep your hands clasped or join your hands in prayer in front of your chest. Tilting your torso forward horizontally, lift from your inner left thigh, and flex your left foot. Lengthen your chest and crown forward. Feel the balance of your 2 hips. And in Virabhadrasana 3, let's take a breath. Now, bending your right knee slightly, you're gonna lift the torso upright, continue to stand just on your right foot, and catch hold of your left shin or thigh. Flex your left foot and rebalance your hips to face forward. Feel the full length of your spine, belly in, deep breaths. A little exercise, bring your hands to your hips, try to keep them balanced, and then re-enter Warrior Three. Press your left heel back, lengthen your spine and chest forward. Feel the balance of your hips, the lift of your navel. Take a deep breath. Then softly return to Warrior One. Landing your left foot at the rear of your mat. Inhale, raise your arms, palms touch, gaze up. Exhale, step back to downward facing dog or flow through a vinyasa first. Take a few breaths in downward facing. Let's It's alive in your body. It's alive in you right now. Now take a look at your left wrist. Step your left foot 5 inches behind it. Spin your right heel down, slightly turning out your right foot. Your feet are hips width apart, your hips are facing forward, your legs are straight. Grab your strap if you're going to use it for shoulder assistance. Bring your hands to your hips. Lead with your chest and inhale to rise. So holding the strap in your right hand, dangle it behind you and rotate your right tricep forward. Bend your right elbow behind your head. Land your right palm between your shoulder blades. Take your left hand underneath, grab the other end of your strap, or hold your shirt with both hands. Then walk your hands as close together as you can. Maybe they clasp. Feel the ground through the 4 corners of each foot. Engage the front muscles of your thighs, your belly, and breathe in to coil your chest up. Slide your shoulders down your back and exhale, hinge a little bit forward, breath by breath. Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. Feel the open space throughout your neck as we take 3 last breaths. Then lead with your chest and inhale to rise slowly. And bring your hands to your hips to guide them to keep facing forward as you step your left foot forward another 5 inches and bend your left knee right over the ankle. Keeping your right leg straight and the heel on the ground, turn both of your hips to face forward. Draw your tailbone down, lift your back ribs, and raise your arms. Perhaps your palms touch. Take a few breaths in Warrior One, Virabhadrasana One. From here, reach your hands behind you. Perhaps try to switch the interlacing of your thumb and index on top. Roll your shoulders back and down, broadening your chest, but feel the bottom of your front ribs towards your back body. With a long spine, lean forward, just diagonally hovering off of your left thigh as you gaze past your left foot. Deep breaths. Degasana is the name of this pose. So we're going to shift into Warrior Three, and if you'll want to use your hands for support, then put your hands onto blocks or the floor, foot ahead of your left toes. Otherwise, you can keep your hands clasped or join your hands in prayer at your chest. Lean forward and flex your right foot, lifting from your inner right thigh as you lengthen the crown of your head forward. Can you feel the energy of mountain pose throughout your torso and legs? Last 3 breaths here. Now, keeping our weight just on the left foot, put a little bend in your left knee. Bend your right knee in front of you. Keep flexing the foot to rise up. Catch hold of your right shin, your right thigh, and feel your shoulders restack above your hips. Navel dropping in, standing tall, deep breath. From here, bring your hands to your hips and keep directing them to evenly face forward as you return to Warrior Three. Flex your right heel back, grow your torso forward until you create a horizontal line. Feel the balance of your left and right hips. Feel your navel drawing in to support your spine. From Warrior Three, let's arrive in Warrior One. Set your right foot carefully on the ground behind you. Inhale, raise your arms overhead, let your palms meet. Exhale to lower into a vinyasa Take a moment in child's pose or go directly to downward facing dog. Deep breaths in. This time, walk your hands back. Hold over your legs. Bend your knees any amount you need to slip your palms face up underneath the soles of your feet, stretching your outer wrists in front of us. As you shift your weight forward, inhale, press your heart through the gates of your arms. Keep that length and exhale, hinge a little deeper from your hips. Perhaps explore softly shaking and nodding your head for a few breaths here while you float your shoulders up and away from your neck. Maybe even flutter your lips. Just any energetic impulse needs to move through your mouth. And slip your palms out from under, bring your hands to your hips. Lead with your chest, perhaps bend your knees. Inhale, slowly rise up. Let's step up to the top of our mat for one more little balance play with a heart opener. So bring your knees as close together as you can as you stand tall in mountain pose. Keep touching. With your hands and your hips, feel that your frontal hip bones are evenly facing forward. Stay mindful of that throughout this setting up the pose. Bend your right knee to hug your left knee. Backstroke your right arm like we did in Sphinx pose in the beginning. Catch the inside, big toe side of right ankle or foot. If that's not reachable, it's okay to catch the outer side or to use a strap like a lasso for your foot. Direct your tailbone down towards the ground, just inside of your left heel. Feel the lift of your frontal hip bones as they continue to face forward. And begin to kick your right leg towards Warrior 3 while pulling your right foot towards your glutes. Raising your left arm, roll your left tricep forward, and use the counter forces of your right leg, right hand to sustain your balance as you blossom your chest up and open. Coming into dancer pose, a heart opening, quadricep hip flexor opening posture, back bend. Last few breaths here. So we're going to re-enter Warrior 3. You might want to bring your hands to your hips to steady your two hips, or to join your hands in prayer, any variations. Horizontal line from crown of your head to right flexed heel. Pause there at least a full breath before stepping your right foot to the ground behind you. A foot shorter stance than Warrior 1, sort of like our pyramid pose. So feet are hips width apart, both heels on the ground. Keep your hips facing forward, and then inhale, lift your chest. And as you exhale, lengthen your spine forward, parallel to the floor. Then bring your right hand down onto a block or the ground just under your right shoulder. That's a good place to start. If you're feeling pretty stable and want the twist to go a little deeper, cross your right hand outside of your left foot, maybe on a block. Keep your two hips balanced, your feet grounded, and then raise your left arm. And at your waist, rotate your chest to the left, little by little each breath. Keep reaching the crown of your head forward to trace the midline of your mat. Sometimes the head will want to move over to the left edge of your mat because you're twisting in that direction. Notice if that's happening. Shoulder blades down your back. Feel the reach of your left hand, broadening the left side of your chest. 3 more breaths here in revolved triangle pose, or Parita Trikonasana. Let's set your 2 hands to frame your left ankle. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step right foot next to left, forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips, maybe a little bend in the knees. Root down through your feet. Inhale, lead with your chest to rise. Notice any shift in the way that you're breathing as you come back to your center. Keep your knees close together. Bend your left knee. Backstroke your left arm. Try to catch the inside, big toe side of left ankle or foot. Right away, begin to kick your left leg towards Warrior Three while pulling your left leg towards your glutes. Using those counter forces to help sustain your balance upright. Both hip bones facing forward. Raising your right arm, lift your heart like cobra and upward facing dog. Natarajasana, dancer pose. Feel your shoulders soften down away from your neck as your collarbones spread open. A wide smile just above your heart. Take another breath or few, and we're going to enter Warrior Three when you feel ready. You might like to place your hands on your hips to guide them to balance, or join your hands at your heart, anywhere else. Flex your left heel back, lengthen your torso forward into a horizontal line. Navel in, heart space wide open. Notice your breath. Take your time stepping your left foot behind you on the ground, preparing for pyramid pose. Slightly shorter stance than Warrior One as you ground both soles of your feet. Keep your hips facing forward and straighten your legs. As you bring your hands to your hips, lift your chest and take a deep breath. Belly engages. Exhale, bow forward little by little until you arrive with your spine parallel to the floor. Feel the balance in your hips, the stability in your legs. Now place your left hand down, either right under your left shoulder, maybe on a block. Good place to start. Or if you're itching for a deeper variation, cross your left hand to the right side of your right foot. Keep your hips balanced as you raise your right arm, palm facing your right wall, and turn your chest. Keeping your spine, your crown tracing the midline of your mat. Slide your shoulder blades down your back. Look down at your right foot. Set your hands down, and this time let's lower all the way onto all fours, hands and knees. Just a few rounds of cat-cow here. Breathing in, coil your chest up. Breathing out, round your back. Couple more. On your next exhalation, relax to a neutral spine. And with your knees right under your hips, step your wrists a couple inches in front of your shoulders, preparing for thread the needle, the spinal twist. Now, if you'd also like to open your inner thigh here, try stepping your left out to your left side so your sole is on the floor and the arch of your left foot aligns with your right knee. And as you're going into thread the needle, if you find that this makes it inaccessible, just revert back to lowering your left knee to the ground. So raise your left arm up, take a deep breath. Exhale, thread your left arm on the floor beneath your right elbow with your left palm face up. Lower the left side of your head all the way down. If it doesn't reach the ground, place your pillow or whatever prop you have under your head to rest on. Flare your right elbow towards the sky, using your right fingertips to press the ground towards the upper right corner of your mat, helping you to align the height of your two hips to balance, centering this twist at your waistline as we have been doing. Shoulders softening down your back. Breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. Slowing down your exhalations, breathing into your belly. All ways of helping to relax the nervous system even deeper. Let's take one more long exhalation here. Then press up to all fours again. Now, if you did straighten your left leg out to the side, try doing the same to the right leg. Sole the foot flat on the floor, arch of the foot in line with left knee. Inhale, raise your right arm. Exhale, thread it underneath your left bent elbow. Lower the right side of your head all the way down. Use a push if you need. Crawl your left fingertips towards the upper left corner of your mat, flaring your left elbow towards the sky. Feel your hips rebalance as you spiral your torso mostly at your waist. Sending your breath to nurture space and awareness behind your heart. Press the ground away. Come back through hands and knees to sit with your legs in front of you. Preparing for a seated forward fold in Paschimottanasana. Separate your feet hips width apart, and if you'd like to use a strap, wrap it around the balls of your feet, but use enough slack in the strap where your shoulders can rest back and down. Flex your feet, engage the front muscles of your thighs, and push off the ground to your sitting bones. You might even be sitting on a blanket. That helps you to sit taller. And get a little taller as you breathe in. Open the space at your throat. Imagine a string being pulled from your sternum past your big toes as you lean into the forward fold. Breath by breath. Find a slight lift of your sternum at the middle of your chest. Belly firming in, supporting length in your lower spine. Last 3 breaths. Leading from your sternum, breathe in. Slowly rise up. Put the strap aside. Come up down. Preparing for Shavasana. So if you have any stiffness in your lower back, what can be helpful is to grab your cylindrical pillow or a folded blanket or your blocks and place them just behind your knees, separating your ankles wider than hips distance. You might roll your ankles and thighs a moment before you rest in stillness. And as you come down to your back, if you have a weighted blanket, placing it on top of your pelvis can also feel soothing, grounding to rest. Perhaps you turn your palms face up as you relax your shoulders down and close your eyes. Let your body be still as you take one last deep inhalation. Imagine that green warm light from your heart center, expanding from head to toe. Let it all out to your mouth. Shavasana. think that the point is to pass the test or overcome the problem. But the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together and they fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, for joy. If you would like to join us for 5 minutes sitting silently in meditation, allow your body to guide you in the way that it wants to ease out of gentle motion, stretches. Eventually rising to sit. Allow your body a position that facilitates alertness and calm. You might even prop your pelvis on top of a pillow or both. I'm going to set the timer now for 5 minutes. to regain your attention in your body, the surface that your body is resting on.
No, I don't know much about
And your palms meet your hearts, bowing in to close. So how do we make space for it all? Acknowledging what's alive in us from moment to moment, with kindness and with truth. Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste. I love